Hello, I am Paula Bennett and welcome to my New Zealand Herald podcast, Ask Me Anything. Now, one thing I've learnt in life is it's never too late to learn something new. So on this podcast, I talk to people from all walks of life to hear about how they got to where they are and get some advice and guidance on some of life's biggest questions. Today, I am joined by Miss Congeniality herself, Anita Wigl'it, aka Nick Kennedy Hall, who I met while hosting Give Us a Clue. After hosting her own show, House of Drag, Anita is now part of the global of RuPaul's Drag Alumni, starring on the first Down Under season and then representing New Zealand on Drag Race Canada versus the world. She's also the owner and resident queen at the famous Kaluzi Cabaret. Anita, hello.
Hello, thank you so much for having me today.
It's exciting.
Oh, very exciting. And you look, I know this is a podcast, so they can't necessarily see you, but you look amazing.
Yeah, I've cheated. I just do suits or dresses
you look
now.
Powerful.
Good. We'll do that. Okay, housekeeping for this podcast, very easy. Two rules. One is it's called Ask Me Anything.
Ooh.
So we get to ask anything.
Anything. Okay, I like that.
But you don't have to answer.
Oh, I'm an open book.
Yeah, okay, good.
Single. Oh no, damn, sorry.
And then you'll appreciate that safe space, I always say.
Perfect.
My daughter and I do no judgy zone.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. We can do that, you sort of can get a bit gossipy.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then you go, but no judgment.
Also, we could say horrific things and say, but it's
no judgment. If they're putting it out, I say free loving.
I
free
like
loving.
that. Okay.
It's okay. But who else do they sleep with?
We can get away with anything.
No judge. Yeah.
Sold.
Yeah.
And then
easy. Okay, quick fire questions. If you could invite anyone to dinner, who would it be?
ooh, Barbra Streisand.
Oh my God.
Just love her so much. She's so talented.
And we haven't seen enough of her in the last few decades, with all respect, because she withdrew and almost got stage anxiety.
Yeah, she did. I think there was a very famous concert in Central Park in the 60s or something where she forgot her words. And so now she always has like a teleprompter in her concerts.
Yeah.
But because of that, developed this kind of, I think, the stage anxiety, so doesn't do much anymore. But apparently she's directing or producing Gypsy.
Wow. So I love that dinner choice because, as I say, it's not like she is an open book. You know what I mean? Like you would learn things.
Oh, you would. And she looks like the sort of person that would just eat anything, right? She's ready for it.
Yeah.
She's got no shame.
Yeah, I think she would be fun. Okay. So then what would you cook for her?
Oh, I'm terrible at cooking.
Oh, are you? Not your thing?
That's why I've got a husband, Paula.
Yeah, and is he?
He's
great.
Good? Yeah, he's good.
Okay, well, what does he cook that's your favourite?
Oh, actually, we had it last night. We celebrated our third wedding anniversary.
Oh, nice.
And he's Fijian Indian, so we invited all our family around, and we had like a curry night, and he made this prawn, like coconut cream curry. So that's what I probably order him to make for Barbra Streisand.
Oh, I like that. I love a good curry, though.
Me too.
Love a good curry. Okay, let's get into it. So, Anita, you are incredibly positive, bubbly and optimistic. And I can say this from experience because during the filming of Give Us a Clue, we had so many guests, which was
many.
No, and it was awesome for me, right?
Yes.
So me and the crew, we had a huge number of guests over a relatively short period of time. And then at the very end of it, as all the listeners will appreciate, we had the wrap-up party. And of course, at that, really, you sit around with the crew and you just have lots of drinks and
absolutely.
And yarn. Anyway, it went round the room as to who was their favourite person.
Oh. Yeah.
And this is gossip behind the scenes.
Okay, no judgment.
Yeah. Well, it was you.
Really?
But every single one of them.
That's so nice.
Who did they enjoy meeting and spending time with?
Oh.
And everybody automatically said you.
Probably because I was amazing at charade.
Oh, yeah. You were just the absolute best they've ever seen.
That was terrible.
Yeah, no, that's not true.
That's so sweet. I also gave them heaps of money, so that probably helped.
That probably. Yeah. It's the wine that you snuck in, no. I think it's because you are positive, bubbly, and just have an absolutely optimistic outlook outlook in life. So we are going to talk about that a bit later and how you maintain that disposition with some of the crap that life throws at us. But let's chat about you a bit first. So you grew up in England?
I did.
So what age to New Zealand?
So I was 10 years old, and I've been now in New Zealand for about 23, and I'm only 21, so I don't know how that works. But, so 10 years in England, 23 in New Zealand.
Yeah.
But the stint of 2 years in Canada in between.
And was that your parents deciding that they wanted to come and a change
sort of
everything?
So I lived in a really small village in a place called Nantwich in Cheshire, and my parents separated, and when they separated, it was kind of like a gossip mill in a small town. So my mum, she didn't want to stay in Nantwich because people would talk, and she didn't want to feel like the victim of something. So
they were judgy.
They were judgy, So it was either we went to live with my grandparents who lived in Wiltshire, or we moved to New Zealand where my mum's sister lived.
Nice.
And so we thought New Zealand was exciting, and we chose that, and it was the best decision.
Wow, that's really exciting. So you went to a Catholic school?
I did.
Both there and here?
Yes, I grew up Catholic. So I was even an altar server. We were very Catholic. So I went to... when we moved to New Zealand, I went to St. Mary's Catholic School in Northcote and to Rosemary College, the all-boys school in Takapuna.
Yeah. So when did you know you were gay?
So I always knew I was attracted to men, but because I went to an all-boys school, and especially, I'm sure it's, I would be naive to think it doesn't happen now, but when I was there, my last year of school was 2007, and bullying was rife, especially about being slightly different. And it's hard to imagine, Paula, but I was a little bit flamboyant. Just a little bit. And Rosemary is very much a rugby school.
Yeah, it is.
And I was terrible on the field. I was really good in the showers, but that's another story. But because I was different, I was bullied a lot for being different and naturally for being gay. And I knew that I was attracted to men, but it sounds stupid, but I so wanted to be normal that I just denied it to myself that I was gay. So I was like, no, I'm not. I like girls, and because I wanted to fit in. And it wasn't until I went to university and studied music, had gay lecturers, and I saw people living their lives. I thought, well, it's probably a reason I've been attracted to men my whole life. And then I kind of had the ability, because I didn't feel like I was going to be judged, to come out as gay when I was about 22. Yeah,
you kind of find your tribe, eh?
You do.
You know, and I hope now that there's boys and girls out there that are finding their tribe while they are at school.
Absolutely.
And I hope, I'm not there, so you can't say, but there are a lot that kind of tell that story, that it's not until they get to university or they get to another place in their lives or they walk into a gay club for the first time and go, okay.
I understand. There are people like me out there in the world. Yeah, you find your tribe and your chosen family in a way, the people that kind of make you feel that you can be yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well then let's talk about exploring that kind of world of drag. So you've gone through very Catholic school, very Catholic. Do you still go to church?
No, actually, I had a bit of a dramatic exit from the church. I was we moved to Grey Lynn about 3 years ago. And I decided, I was like, you know what, I'm still religious, still Christian.
Sure.
But I thought, I really need to reconnect. I need to make an effort, go to church. So I was going to this church in Grey Lynn, and at one of the services, I've only been going there for about a month, and a guy gets up to say the notices at the end quite often. So I sat through this church, guy gets up for the notices, and it was during the ending of life referendum. So they were basically, the Catholic stance was against the ending of life. Yeah. But this guy got up and he goes, in a world where we've allowed transgenderism, gay marriage, now they want to do this. And I got up to leave, but instead of leaving, I made the choice and I walked right up to the front. I stood in the altar and I stopped the congregation and had this little impassioned speech about how I'd grown up for the last 32 years or whatever it was being Catholic, and I just couldn't do it anymore in a place that was so full of judgment and hate, and I left and never looked back.
Wow.
Yeah. Like a great scene in a movie one day.
Yeah, was your heart racing? Because that is a big deal.
It was, but I just couldn't. For me, it wasn't the fact that the gay marriage stuff. It was the when he said that in a world where we've allowed transgenderism. I thought, I've got trans friends who, and it's so disgusting that this guy is up there talking about people that I love and saying that they're evil because they are who they are. And I thought, stuff this. I can't be associated with this anymore. So I left in a passionate rage, which is very unusual for me.
Wow. Yeah, I went to a full Requiem Mass this year for the first time, and I sort of left and no one would go with me. And my mother rang and said, well, how was it? And I just went, all I got out of it is that I'm going to hell. You know, like repeatedly told, so there you go. I think I'm going to have good company, so let's get on with it.
And with the heating costs at the moment, it's not the worst idea, is it?
Yeah, it's just like, let's go,
Totally.
Okay, how on earth did you get to the world of drag? I mean...
Yeah, so I was, as I said, studying at university. I was at Auckland University studying music and majoring in trumpet performance, which is a bit of a useless degree, but there we go. It was still fun.
Yeah.
But while I was studying, I got a student job and I was an usher at the theatre, the Civic Theatre in Auckland. And the first musical I ushered on in 2008 was the first touring production of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, the musical.
Amazing.
And I just loved it. The costumes, the audience loved it. And I think also how the audience was so in love with this amazing musical, but also celebrating these people who were drag queens and who were trans characters and things. So anyway, long story short, I decided to dress in drag for our staff Christmas party at work at Auckland Live. I had the best time of my life, and that inspired me to do a drag show for my 21st, Priscilla-themed 21st.
Wow.
Contacted Family Bar, our local gay club in Auckland, and the rest is history.
And then, so do you take on, is Anita a different persona to Nick?
They're very similar. Anita's a little bit more... a little bit more ridiculous, I think. It's kind of my opportunity to be really stupid and to get away with a really terrible sense of humour.
Yeah. So you have referred to it in the past as kind of a shield.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You sort of put the makeup on, put the wig on, and does that then let you, it gives you a bit of a shield between...
Does.
Yeah.
As RuPaul says, drag is almost like your superpower. So you put on your costume, your drag, your makeup, and it means that you're someone else. So I think for me, what I liken it to is that when I play the trumpet, if I'm in drag, I don't really get nervous. But if I'm out of drag, I get quite nervous because I think that if I'm out of drag, people are judging Nick. But if I'm in drag, they're judging Anita. And Anita's just a character, so it doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Yeah. So if Anita makes a mistake or stuffs up, then it doesn't, as you say, Anita's in some respects... Yeah, as you say, character, not real, and so you wouldn't personalise it.
And you can get away with it as a drag queen if you were to say I was playing a musical concert as Anita, and if I made a horrific mistake that was blurring the obvious, I could get away with just laughing. But if I was as Nick, if I started laughing, it could be seen as unprofessional.
Yeah, interesting. So you work with your husband?
I do,
You're
yes.
saying you've just done 3 years.
3 years married.
So how do you handle that juggle? I mean, is it...
Oh, not very well, Paula.
No.
No, it's fine.
I couldn't work with my husband.
Oh, God. It was tough in the early days because I was already doing drag, and Shamil, my husband, otherwise known as the drag queen Ivana Drink, who'll need one after being married to me, started doing drag once we got together about 8 years ago.
Cool.
And then got really good at it. And then was like, oh, wow. So we got Ivana into Kalutsi. And in the early days, it was a bit tricky because you've got that kind of, you're both married, you're both similar, you're both doing the same job. There's always going to be a little bit of teething issues, I guess, of finding each person's place in a workplace.
I was going to say using each other's mascara or something. No, that's okay.
The wigs, get
Yeah, okay.
I think we learned early on that we've got to have our own things. And then I think it was about having that separation of like being married, you talk to each other in a certain way, but being a boss and an employee, you talk to each other in a different way. Yeah. So once we got kind of over that, it's been really good, actually. Oh,
that's very cool. Very cool. Okay, you've been a Ru girl.
Yes.
Now, for a few years. So what's it like going from K-Road, from Kalutsi, and then to the world stage?
For sure. I think the thing is, it's a huge honour. In life, I kind of have gone through my life and never really... I feel like I've been sort of recognized for things as such in terms of like in a competition. I've never been the sort of person to win something, and I've always come fourth or in Drag Race seventh and then sixth. And that's wonderful in many ways because it always makes you keen for more. So you're hardworking because you always want to get to that top spot. So when I got onto Drag Race, it was kind of like the biggest honor that I've been chosen out of all these drag performers to represent New Zealand in this competition, let alone twice in 2 series. So it was the most amazing experience for me to be recognized as like, you've done something well and now you're in this circle and you're able to compete. Turns out I lost miserably, but that's okay.
No, but you walked away twice though with Miss Congeniality.
I did. And RuPaul's Drag Race, the thing is, winning is amazing, but it's a TV show. It's kind of like the producers have their own. They've got one who they win for their series, but it's the most amazing marketing tool. Once you're on Drag Race, you're shown to the world, so you can do world tours afterwards, which is the most amazing
Which
thing.
you've done, right? Yes. So you did your tour in New Zealand, and you've taken that to Australia.
Yes, and now so it's my solo show, Funny Girl, the story of my life, and now I'm taking it to the UK in August and Edinburgh Fringe.
That's so cool.
So cool. So I feel like I I'm really kind of living my life to the best of my ability also, which is a wonderful feeling.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go into the advice segment next. But before we do, we're going to leap to advice for people that might want to get into the world of drag.
Yeah, for sure. I think nowadays it's a mistake to go out in drag and feel like you're going to be amazing. Because people do now, because there's YouTube makeup tutorials, there's RuPaul. Back in my day, we didn't have those luxuries.
Yeah.
So when we went out in drag, we looked terrible. Yeah. And that's something to be embraced, I think. Yeah. Because when you look a bit rough around the edges, it gives you this amazing opportunity to develop the sense of character, because it's the only thing going for you at that point. So I think to don't be afraid to look bad and to do shows that aren't going to be brilliant, because you've got to start somewhere. And I think just to go out and do it. We have these things in Auckland like Drag Wars, the amateur drag competition, where people can enter and just give drag a go, which are open for anyone. So I reckon it doesn't matter if you're male, female, trans or what, straight, gay, just if you want to give it a go, give it a go.
Yeah.
And I think don't judge yourself.
Do you need to develop your character before you do it? Or
I think it's a good idea to have an idea of who you want to be, whether you want to be like a look queen, or you want to be a stupid comedy queen. But I think when you go out and you start doing drag and going out into the scene and doing your first shows, that's when you kind of realize. It took me a good 10 years to really realize who I was as a performer, I think. Has
the drag scene changed so much? And I suppose I'm asking in the way of the bitchy queen, right? Because that was, when I was younger, that's who it was. And you went along to get sledged, and the audience, which is fun, by the way. I loved it.
Very fun.
So, yeah. And very funny. And there's still elements of it, but I wonder if the crowd's changed or
I think a little bit. The world's changed, I guess. It's much more PC now, which good and bad, I guess. But nowadays, there's still a lot of bitchiness in drag.
Yeah.
But for me, what I like to do is almost be like more sassy and bitchy about myself or about my sort of my friends, the fellow drag queens, because I know that they can handle it. Whereas an audience member, funnily enough, having this conversation the other day, back in the day, we would look at a lady in her jacket and be like, oh, lovely jacket. Did you get that from a prostitute on the corner? That kind of thing. Whereas for us, it's like a cheap laugh, but they might feel a bit bad about themselves and never want to wear that jacket again.
Yeah.
So nowadays, it's kind of about sort of lifting people up a little bit more, but while remaining a little bit ruthless.
Yeah. Yeah, we still need some elements of
and still a little bit of crudeness. And it depends on the audience, though, obviously. Like with adults, we can get away with that. But nowadays, we get to work around kids a little bit. And of course, then our mentality is completely different with them.
Yeah. Brilliant. Up next, we are going to explore this wonderful, positive, optimistic nature of yours, and particularly how you maintain that with everything that life throws at you. I think our audience can already hear that you are a very bubbly and positive person. As I've said, you're the only ever 2-time Miss Congeniality across the entire Drag Race franchise because of it. Your ability to see the good in everything really is just so admirable, especially when it comes to how you've dealt with how life tests you. And you've been really quite open about some of the, how would I refer to it, the trauma of, a sexual assault years ago. And I loved that you talk about that because you want other people. There's too many of us have actually been through trauma like that.
So many.
And you climb in a cupboard. Yeah. And that's lonely and scary. And so people being brave like you to open up is just incredible, right?
Well, thank you. Well, I think, so for me, I had the sexual abuse case about, 10 years ago it happened to me. And then I kind of, when it happened to me, I just assumed it was my fault that I'd told this person the wrong things and that I'd ended up in the situation that I didn't want to be in. And it was all my fault, basically. But when much later on in life, I was reading this article in the paper about these 2 brave guys who were going against this person in the newspaper, and they were taking him to court. I thought, that's my story, and I knew who it was. And so I went to the police because I was inspired by these guys, because I knew that they were victims. But then it kind of allowed me to acknowledge that I was a victim too for the first time in about 8 years after it happened or whatever, and then go through the court process and yada yada. But and I thought, I've got the most amazing opportunity now for having a little name in New Zealand and being a drag queen, and also in the gay world where we don't often again talk about it because of whether it's more shame or whatever. So I thought, I've been given this amazing opportunity to be able to talk about my story. And then so by sharing it in hope that other people, like I had with those 2 guys, will identify through me and think, well, it's not their fault, so it's not my fault either. And if I can help one person, then I've done some good.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible because, there are so many people that look at their own behaviours or perhaps some of their own sexual experiences where they're going through a time of, as I like to call it, free loving.
Yes.
And then there is a sexual abuse or a sexual assault, and that questioning of yourself and your own behaviours so often means you can't actually work through the trauma, and whether that is going to police or getting that assistance from amazing organisations like Toa Nest and others that work with people. And so, you bringing that out, I think, is really powerful.
Thank you. I just feel, just in order to help. And it's also spurred me. So now for the first time, I'm going through sort of therapy for it.
Yeah.
And not that I know if I've got any issues around it, but I think it's one of those things that it's good to kind of go to a therapist and talk about it just to see if there is something that I've missed in my kind of healing through it. And also it's just trying to make the world a better place, really, and sending not only a message to victims, but also to people of power who might be doing sort of questionable things to think like actually what they're doing is wrong, and hopefully it'll maybe spur someone to think about their actions.
Yeah. And so you are, as I've said, an incredibly positive and optimistic person. And so I suppose the message as well is that something as awful as that also doesn't get to define you every day.
No.
And you do get to see the sunshine, and you're just such a wonderfully positive person. So what's the advice to people out there that perhaps are going through their own crap as to how you kind of get up each day and have a laugh and
for sure
see the good in life?
I think my positivity actually originally comes from when my parents separated back in 1998, 9, somewhere around there. Yeah. And we moved to New Zealand, which is a huge sort of move at 10 years old. And it's quite interesting having an older brother and myself, and he kind of dealt with things quite negatively and always saw the bad side of things. And I kind of went the other way and saw the good things and everything. And I think that that's kind of just stuck with me, rightly or wrongly. I've always kind of chose the positive outlooks. And it doesn't mean to say that I don't see the negatives too. It's just, I think in life you've almost got options, really. As much as we react to things, we have our reaction, first of all, but then we do have the ability to think like, wow, we can settle with being sexually abused, for example. We can think, all the negatives, and there are a lot of negatives, and it's important to think about those, acknowledge. But then the positives of that is to think, well, this has happened to me, but I'm here now. I've gone through this experience. I might, if I feel like I can, I might be able to help other people from that. And it doesn't define you. And life is so full of wonderful twists and turns. And I think it's just trying to find the good and keeping on going, because life gets better.
Yeah. Do you fake it sometimes?
No, actually, I think it's kind of natural. I mean, sometimes I will get stressed sometimes, and there'll be bad things that happen, and I deal with them as they have. But ultimately, I just think there's so many things to be grateful for. We live in such a beautiful country, and there's some bad stuff going on, but there's so many good things at the same time.
Yeah. I've said before, but being in the LGBTQ plus community can come with its challenges.
Definitely.
And, I've got a friend who was talking to me recently about the kind of body shaming, and they think it goes on sometimes in that community, more than others. Do you see that sometimes, and do you see it changing?
There's definitely a change at the moment. So traditionally in the gay community, it was if you don't have a six pack, then you're ugly, basically, which is a ridiculous thing. No, I don't know anyone with a six pack. And I think that, especially in 2023 with social media, we see these gorgeous people online and think, wow, they're so attractive, and why aren't I like that? And how can I be like that? But I think nowadays what's amazing is people are being celebrated for being who they are and what they're born with, whether they're larger or smaller or whatever. So I think that in the world, there's almost a change about body type. And I think that it's amazing that we are now celebrating different people, and also people are attracted to different things. So in the gay community, now it's not just all the people with six packs. You won't see all of them on advertising anymore. You'll see people with different body shapes advertising dance parties. So I think there's a real effort to change, and I think it's really starting to work.
Yeah, I do too. Do you worry a bit, and I do, about, you can see in the US where the hate seems to be ramping up, whereas against queer people, or perhaps it's just getting more of a headline, and, you can kind of see those numbers.
Oh, definitely. And it makes me a little bit afraid. So now part of my life is going going to smaller areas and doing drag queen bingo and things like that. And I think that I'll be getting ready in a hotel or a motel, and I even going to my car. Well, I got called a faggot on the way to a gig. I was driving down to Hamilton, just driving in my car, and a guy yelled out of the window, "faggot" at me, just driving down the motorway. And you think, wow, this is a bit scary. And he was quite aggressive too, and it's a bit scary. And I think what the problem is at the moment, so in America, it's sort of a very anti-trans person thing. And that's going through into the drag community too, because people often don't realize there are trans drag queens, but there are drag queens who aren't trans too, but we're all sort of part of the same family, and we're getting a lot of hate now because people are unsure. And I think that if you look historically in the world, there's groups of people that go through hate, sort of people of color, Jewish people in World War II, and this is another example where a community is getting targeted. But I think that the real issue here is sort of the gun violence in America, but they would never, at the moment, they're not dealing with the actual issue. So we're kind of the scapegoat. We're the issue then. So basically, it is leaching into New Zealand, unfortunately, too, and especially in the Rainbow Story Times. Which these,
I loved Rainbow Story Time. Let's tell, there'll be some people that don't know what that is.
So Rainbow Story Time is when a drag performer goes into often a library and reads these amazing books about like these little teddy bears that want to wear a dress to school, but the other kids laughed at them, but someone else wore a skirt, and then they feel amazing. Yeah. So these amazing stories. And at first, I can understand why people would be like, "Oh, a drag queen around kids." Like, I don't know if this is appropriate. But because they see
I just roll my eyes.
Yeah, I know. Because they see a drag queen in a nightclub wearing like short skirts and being inappropriate, which might not be appropriate around kids. But the thing is, we're like teachers. Teachers will be, when they're with their friends, they might wear inappropriate, like not inappropriate, but they might wear like more racy clothing. They might swear, but when they're around kids, they put their teacher's hat on. And the same with us. We'll wear like long dresses. We definitely won't swear. We won't make any sexual references. And we'll create this amazing environment for these kids. But people think that, and honestly, the reason why people think that we're grooming these kids and they think we're pedophiles, which is stupid, because if I was a pedophile, I wouldn't dress like a clown and be in front of a room of kids in a library with their adults there.
No, exactly.
So it's a stupid argument in itself. And they're saying that and people are saying, don't have this around our kids, which is stupid in itself, because they're trying to tell parents how to raise their kids with their ideas. But it's just this, unfortunately, and Brian Tamaki's jumping on the bandwagon, and there's this whole issue about it now, which is such a shame, because people are now coming to these libraries and protesting and getting aggressive, which is just so stupid. It's not compulsory. It's not at all. I mean, I wish it was, but it's an option. Yeah. If you don't want to bring your kids, don't. Yeah. We're not making anyone take their children to something that they don't want to. And yet, I personally just think what a wonderful experience for kids to have anyone reading anything to them, quite frankly. So it's like, for example, I don't like cricket, but I'm not going to go online at a cricket event and be like, "Oh, this is so boring or gross." So I'm just going to keep my opinions to myself, because other people are enjoying it. And not watch it, because that's their thing. Exactly. And is it disheartening, though, to have to defend yourself and your community all the time? And it's constantly. So, for example, I advertise my drag bingo online, and I'll get this person commenting with "groomer" or "don't push your agenda," and it's like, and it's just, and the most annoying thing is often these people have these closed, and being a Christian myself, but with a no judgment hat on, but these people are often sort of Christian, from a Christian background. And what's interesting is to do a very easy Google search, and you can see that pretty much 100% of people who are child sex offenders are either religious or in the family. There hasn't been one example of a drag queen in New Zealand that sexually abused a child. Yeah. So it's like, look at the real problem. Look at the facts. Yeah. Yeah. The haters are so irrational. You've just pointed out everything that's just so wrong with it. How do you relate to them or find a level of compassion for them? Well, I guess everybody's going through their own things, right? And they obviously... it's almost, they probably just haven't had the education about that. So, I think immediately you have to look after yourself. So when I get these comments, I just block them straight away, because they're not worth my time. Sometimes I try and ration with them, but it just never works. No. So blocking them first, and then just, I guess, remaining hopeful that one day they'll actually maybe come along to one of these events and see what we do and be like, "Oh my God, I was really wrong about that." Yeah, have that wake up moment, maybe. But at the same time, there's only so much I can do in my life, and it'll take them to make the change, not me. Yeah. And if you could say one thing to them right now, what would you say? I would say go to a drag queen story time. Come as a guest. You don't have to have a child with you. Just come, sit in the back, listen, and then make up your mind, rather than just making up your mind. Because I can guarantee that all of them have never been to one of those events. Yeah, exactly. They're all welcome. Everyone's welcome.
we've talked about how you see the positive and you see the good and how we should all start with kindness of ourselves. What about those people, though, that are the cup half empty? You know, it's harder for them to see the optimism in the world. We've all got them. We've all got an Eeyore in our life.
I think it's about going to people who are positive and or who you know that will raise you up and being like, hey, I'm feeling a bit rubbish about this because this happened at work. What do you think? And then just allowing them to raise you up and thinking about the things that they've said that are positive and taking those into your heart and just trying.
Yeah.
And then if that doesn't work, have a glass of wine.
And I'll sometimes say to those people that are perhaps more on the negative side, I wouldn't say I call them out, but I will sometimes go to them, you know, you're always looking at it in a more negative.
Yes.
How about we try and turn that around?
Yeah.
Just for an hour.
Because the only person that's going to change it is you, right? And happiness isn't a destination, it's a journey. And I think once you kind of realize that, it's like there's going to be days when you feel pretty rubbish, but tomorrow's another day.
Yeah. And for those people that do always skew to the negative, just sometimes ask them to give you an hour where it's actually not doom and gloom.
Totally. Or even set yourself I just had some really bad news. I'm going to give myself an hour to feel really bad. And then after that, I'm going to try not to think about it again.
That's a good one. Let's leave this bit with something positive. How should people embrace their inner Anita?
Oh, I like that question. I think you've got to treat yourself with kindness. I think so often we look in the mirror and we go, oh, God, I don't look good today. But then I think if you say like, oh, what's one thing about me that does look good? You're like, oh, well, I like my eyes are a nice color, for example. And then you feel really good. And I think that's the first step about, and that'll make you feel a little bit good about yourself inside. And then I think always, trying to leave people with a positive impression of yourself. And I remember back, my first ever job was at KFC. Don't judge me, Paula. And it was delicious.
I actually blame you now for mentioning it because I'm going to want it for the next week.
I'm sorry. Okay. But for some reason, when customers came, I would have a best customer of the day because you always used to get taught like rubbish when you were in a lower job like that. People would treat you terribly, but they would be like, who today? Which was the customer that treated me the nicest? And for some, I had this little thing, and then I thought, well, now if I can go out of my way, if there's a cafe work and I can be like, they feel like, I really like that guy. He was so nice to me. And he can really make someone's day. Like you made my day about saying how the crew, how they said that they really liked me on that show. And it's like, wow, I'm going to take that with me today. So if you can say one good thing about yourself and you can make one person feel good in a day, then I think if you keep doing that, you'll feel amazing after no time.
That's kind of cool. I always say that, because, when I was in politics in particular and people would say to me, I'd never have your job. Everyone's so awful. I'd never have your job. And I'd say to them, actually, I see the best in humans. And if I get 20 comments in a day, actually 19 of them are really positive.
Always.
And in many respects, people would go out of their way to come up and thank me for the job I was doing or something like that. And then I'd say, but for many years, the voice I heard that night was the one that was negative.
Yes.
And then I went, you know what? I get to choose who's in my head.
Yeah, definitely.
And that one can bugger off. And instead, I'll listen to the more positive and the optimistic and try and give that back out as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree.
Okay, the podcast has asked me anything.
Yes.
So you now get to...
You just answered my question, actually. I was going to...
Ask me something.
I was going to ask you how you dealt with that kind of negative, but you answered it so well, so I have another question. I've got to back up.
All right.
I was like, Paula, you're an amazing woman and you're very strong, and I feel that you're a very driven person, and I wonder where you get your drive from.
I think the drive comes from growing up, I was the youngest, and then I had older brothers and a very patriarchal father. So I had an automatic rage against the machine, a bit of anarchy in me anyway. And so that certainly, and then I think I got that drive to prove that actually I could hold my own, or if not better. So I just wasn't, it was a very sexist environment.
Yes.
It really is, My father would literally sit at the dinner table and say it's a shame that the brain in the family was wasted on the girl.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
And so you either shrink from that, or if you're me with a bit of attitude, you fight back.
Yeah, and it feels good, right?
Feels good. Feels really good. You may end up pregnant at 17 though, and on your own, but hey.
Fingers crossed.
You know?
I think I'm a bit late for that.
But, you know, but yeah, so I reckon that's where the drive comes from, and then the buzz from it, and then, you know, and I interview some amazing people on this podcast, and I have, and I hope I continue to. But the one thing I probably with some of the younger ones is I just think, God, don't limit yourself into where that drive and ambition and amazingness of you, because you just don't know where it will take you in life, right?
I love that.
Yeah,
thanks,
very
Auntie
cool.
Paula.
You're welcome. You're welcome, listeners. Okay, it has been so much fun, Anita. Thank you for joining me today. If people want to hear more from you, where do they find you?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Anita Wigl'it.
Yep.
On online at anitawigl'it.co.nz or dragqueenbingo.co.nz.
Yeah, and go to Kaluzi.
Go to Kaluzi. It's the most amazing night you'll ever have.
Oh, I love
Full of positivity too.
Oh, I love that. Okay, and that's it for another episode of Ask Me Anything. You can touch with me by emailing askpaula@nzherald.co.nz. Feel free to send me through your questions for the podcast or thoughts you have. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram or LinkedIn. Make sure you follow Ask Me Anything on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also read my weekly column in the Herald on Sunday. I'm Paula Bennett. Ask Me Anything. Goodbye.